And the truth of the matter is that in all that we have done and all that we have been through, and thank y'all for showing up today. I appreciate that. Thank you. Transform Thinking Incorporated. Thank you. We all have gone through something. We all have gone through something in life. And this something is what is fueling us to have the strength that we have. There's nothing that I have done so good or so right that have caused me to live for 63 years. There are no good deeds that I have done. There is nothing of my credit that I have done. It is only by the grace of God that we are here. And I thank God for this opportunity to stand on this parking lot of the Solid Rock Missionary Baptist Church. And thank God for Dr. Nash and his wife for inviting me to speak a word about the church's 46th church anniversary. And I thank God, thank you. I thank God for that. He could have selected anybody else, but he chose to select me to offer a word of encouragement. And it takes faith. It takes faith, and a lot of faith, to stand for 46 years. And I want to thank him for all that he has done in his ministry to help me be where I am in my ministry. And I want to thank all of you who have taken the time out of your busy schedule to be here on this day. Thank God for God's Son. Thank God for his clouds. Thank God for the rain last night and the wind. Thank God for that. I'm always mindful of how good God has been. Good morning, church family. Good morning. And our guests, good morning. We celebrate 46 years, a long time, since Pastor Nash has arrived in this city at the Solid Rock Church family. 46 years of God's grace. Grace is his unmerited favor. We don't deserve his grace, but he sees that we're weak, and he continues to pour his grace out upon us. And looking back where he has brought Solid Rock from, but we need not only just live our lives looking in the rearview mirror, looking back. We need to look forward to see where God is leading Solid Rock Missionary Baptist Church to. Sometimes we have to look in the rearview mirror to understand why we are where we are. Even in driving our vehicles, they have side mirrors and rear view mirrors so we can see what's behind us to better help us to move forward. Looking back. But let us not get stuck on looking back, so much so that it prevents us from moving forward. This is a celebration of longevity, a celebration of faithfulness. And we're going to talk a little bit about faith this morning, because you don't make it 46 years without having faith. And looking forward, remembering the trips to Halls, Texas, riding on the van as a church family and laughing and talking and seeing the rural community and halls, traveling together, laughing together, eating together as a church family. Remembering that on the van. Remembering the meals prepared for the visiting congregations. Remembering that. Remembering being in the fellowship hall, preparing those meals. Remembering the different personalities that some have all passed on from earth to glory. It's good to remember those people who were here, but now they're passed on. Remembering the different preachers from both Port Arthur and from afar, who stood in the pulpit and preached the word so hard so that we might understand that God is still with us. God is still on our side. Many preachers have stood here in this pulpit from near and far. Remembering Sister Prater singing, remembering her even in her sickness, still being willing to give a seed offering to the preacher or the teacher, remembering her. It's good to remember those who have traveled on before us and seeing how their lives have impacted us. Remembering Deacon Daw. Remembering Sister Anderson, who encouraged me to put those articles back in the newspaper when I got tired and really didn't feel like writing anymore. I was weary. And she looked at me as an older lady and an elder. She said, "Don't you ever start anything and stop it. Because somebody is reading. Somebody is depending. We have to remember those people at the church. Remembering. Yes, I was tired, but remembering Sister Virgil Ned, remembering her and what she did and her personality. Personality matters. And we must never forget those whose paths that you have crossed and the different personalities, the different differences, but still they stayed and they did not leave. Remembering Sister Nash, tired, frustrated, holding the two boys, trying to keep them maintained during the service as boys are active, sitting there, and sometimes just getting up and walking to the back to talk to the boys, remembering that. That's important. While her husband stood and preached, remembering Pastor Nash staying here right in the building through every hurricane and never once evacuating, but staying right there up on that third floor, staying there. That's faith. Hurricane and never evacuating. Remembering Pastor Nash not giving in or giving up. Giving the instructions one day to the church of how, if you want me out, I'm going to give you instructions on how to vote me out. And God intervened and caused him to remain here for 46 years. Remembering Pastor Nash asking me to guide the congregation while he walked along the exterior of the building to prevent confrontation with one of the deacons. He said, you just carry on. That's a peacemaker. That's someone who understands that God wants the church to move forward. And that requires faithfulness. And on that note, I want to talk a little bit about faith. Matthew 6, and the verse is 30. It says, wherefore if God, I'm glad we're outside because I can see grass. I'm glad that we're outside because I can see birds. I'm glad that we're outside because I can feel God breeze blowing. In Matthew 6 and 30 it says, wherefore if God, thank you, Sister Edwards. Thank you for being true to your word and showing up. God bless you. Wherefore, if God so clothe the grass of the field, look how beautiful the grass is. The grass of the field, which today is, and tomorrow is. Is a linking verb, and I want to park right there because this is a verb that we sometimes just glibly look over. It expresses a continuous or repeated action. It does not in itself indicate the time of the action, but when its relationship to the main verb is temporal, it usually signifies action. Action is what caused you to be here today. You woke up and you had set on your mind to be here. Contemporary with that of the main verb, cast into the oven shall he not put much more coal. In other words, what the text is saying here, if God cares for the grass of the field, how much more will he care for his creation, man and woman? And that's what makes a person, that's what keeps a church together for 46 years. Faith. Now in this verse here, in Matthew 6 and 30, they say little faith. And sometimes our faith gets weak after taking some blows, and we lack confidence. I did that way sometimes. And I wonder why in the world am I going through all that I'm going through? I wonder why. Life has to be so hard. And I have to just hang my head and just cry all along and say, why is life? And it causes me to have a little lack of confidence in the God that created me. I might as well be honest. I get that way sometimes. I get weary and I get tired and I feel like just stopping. But then I think about those words. Don't stop what you've already started. I want to talk about faith. Faith is a thing that keeps church families together. In Hebrews 11 and verse 1, it says, now, not later, but now. We have to have a kind of right now faith. Not yesterday faith, seeing what we have been through. Not a futuristic faith of what we might have, but a right now faith. To cause us to move solid rock into the building, into the future. Now, what is faith? Faith is the substance of things hoped for. We hope to be in the building. That's faith. That's faith. Now, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So we have to begin to be able to see ourselves inside. 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 What is faith? What is faith? Faith is being persuaded that I'm inside. Faith is having credence. Faith is having a moral conviction of saying no to something when I really feel like saying yes. Faith is having a moral conviction of saying yes when I knew I would at one time say no. Faith causes you to stay and stand for 46 years. Faith is a kind of truthfulness of God. Faith especially causes Christians like you and 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 me, causes us when things are hard, it causes us to rely on God. We don't tuck tail and run. We stand. We lean on God's everlasting arm. We don't turn and run from the problem, but we run into the problem because we realize when we run into the problem, God is our shield and our buckler. And he will shield anything because we rely upon Christ. We rely upon Christ for salvation. We are assured that whatever we desire, we already have it. That's faith. Whatever we are seeking to become, we are already that. And we have the evidence. Can we see the evidence? No. Do we have it? Yes. Because we have faith. We have faith. We believe that we already have what we're striving to achieve. We have the faith. Faith is to be convinced by argument. Faith is knowing that God is true and the devil is a lie. It doesn't matter how much Satan tries to cause us to believe that God is not, we as Christians knows that God is. Faith. Faith shows us that we have the evidence. We have the evidence that we are going to move forward. And nothing, absolutely nothing is going to deter us from moving forward. Faith causes us to come into the agreement with God the Almighty, the creator of the stars, the creator of the sun, the creator of the clouds, the creator of the trees, the creator of the grass. Faith causes us to agree with the creator of the universe. Faith causes us to stand when we really feel like sitting. Faith causes us to be assured that it has already happened what we're seeking to happen. And you have the evidence, even though you cannot see it. That's faith. That's faith. That's faith. Faith is to believe so firmly until you walk, talk, and live as if you already have what you are striving to achieve. Walk the walk, talk the talk, as if you already have it, because you really do. You just have to keep on believing, keep on achieving, and don't worry if they say she act like she is something else, because you are believing that you already have what you're striving to achieve. That's faith. Dress the part. Walk the walk. Don't mind people saying he or she thinks she or he is this or that. Let them go ahead and say what they say. And you just keep on having faith. Faith. Tell them that speak how they speak. Tell them you have already become what you're asking God for. And you have the evidence. Can you see the evidence? No. Do you have it? Yes. That's faith. I can't see it, but I can touch it. I can feel it. I can't see it, but I know I have it. That's faith. I am what I am striving to become. And I have evidence, even though I cannot see it. Faith causes us to have the confidence and the evidence that I am what I am striving to become. You have to keep that mindset. Keep that mindset. Keep that mindset. And never let anyone deter you from going in the direction that you are striving to go. Before I go to my seat, I want to tell you a story about a guy who was in a circus. And this guy was famous. He was famous for walking the tightrope. And the little man said to him one day, I believe that you can do. I have faith, so much faith in you, mister. I believe that you can walk that tightrope and never fall. And that man told him, he said, young man, I'm glad that you feel that way, and I'm glad that you have that much faith in me. Then the man said, I'm going to do something different this time. I'm not only going to walk the tightrope, but I'm going to walk the tightrope with a wheelbarrow. And I'm going to walk from one end to the other end. But this time, young man, since you have so much faith in me, I want you to sit in the wheelbarrow. And the young man looked at him, and the young man realized at that moment what faith truly was. It's one thing to talk faith, but it's a whole other thing to walk faith. And that man got in the wheelbarrow. And that's faith. Faith in action. And he got in the wheelbarrow and he began to sit quietly. And as the man left the ramp and went across some 25 or 30 feet on a tightrope, that man pushed him all the way to the other side. That's faith. You can talk faith, but can you walk it? And that's what God wants to do with Solid Rock. He wants to push us across the tightrope into another dimension. That's faith. But we have to do our part. In closing, I have confidence in Solid Rock. I have seen the evidence that Solid Rock is striving to become, is already receiving what they are striving to receive. Solid Rock is actively persuaded, and nothing can deter Solid Rock, because Solid Rock is firmly convinced. They are persuaded that they already have what they are striving to achieve. I have the evidence. Solid Rock has the evidence That's why they talk like they talk. That's why they walk like they walk, because solid rock has faith. Faith is the substance of things hoped for. What is it that God has for you as an individual? What is it that you are striving to become? What is that goal? What is that desire? What is that that's on your mind? What is it that's on your heart? Well, I'm here to tell you, I'm here to encourage you, you can have it. But you got to be able to see it. You have to be able to smell it. You have to be able to taste it. And you have to be around people that's going to encourage you and let you know, guess what? You already have it. Just keep on going, one step at a time. What if Jesus would have said, I'm tired. I'm tired of being spat on. I'm tired of people lying on me. What if Jesus would have said, I'm tired. I'm tired of them saying things about me that is not true. I'm so tired. What if he would have just stopped? What if Jesus would have lacked the active kind of faith that he needed so he can stretch his arms on a cross wide one day and die so that we might have a right to the tree of life? What would have happened to us? What if Mary would have said, I'm not going to do this, I'm going to have an abortion? What if? Where would we be? All I'm saying is don't give up. Every one of us have some struggles. Every one of us. Don't give in. Don't give up. I know it's hard, but don't give up. Jesus came through 42 generations, came from glory because he saw the sin-sick condition of mankind and woman. And he said, I love my children so much until I am going to go down, impregnate a young virgin, cause her to deliver my son into the world so they can come back to me. So whatever it is that you desire, please don't give up. God bless you. God bless you. Good morning.
We thank God for a great message from Dr. Abrams. We give God glory and praise. You've been listening to Dr. Harry Abrams Jr. on this Lord's Day, Sunday, February 15th, 2026, in the year